everyone. Welcome back to another new episode of The Games That Make Us. I am your host, Controviction, and for today's special guest, we have the creator of Never Yield. His name is Neil Jones.
Hip hop, drip, drop. No, that was a bad one too. Sorry, y'all.
Hey, that one flowed pretty well, man. So I think we can keep that one. You know, second Texas used the best one, so I think we good with that one.
Sorry,
Unless you want to go for a third one.
And
No,
joining
keep
us,
going.
and joining us with today's interview is my co-host, which is Nick, also known as MegaZX456.
What's going on, everybody? Nice to be acquainted, and this is gonna be a good show. Appreciate it to have the special guest on, and yeah, we're gonna get into it. So it's gonna be pretty good, pretty cool.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I'm excited too because I've been wanting this for the past few days
30
now.
minutes. Oh.
Yeah. No. Because one of my colleagues is Red Infamy, and she was telling me more about your game and who you are, and I was like, oh, that's freaking dope. Like, let me go ahead and reach out to him. So I'm glad that we got the opportunity to speak with you today.
Yeah, dope. Thanks for asking me on.
Of course. So, to get things started, I wanted to ask you a few questions in regards to the different types of games you played when you were growing up.
Mhm.
What would you say is your very first console that you were introduced to?
My grandma had, well, my grandma owned a bar, and she had an arcade in the bar, so I was just like, she had to watch me. She raised me, so I would sneak into, the back area or whatever, just grab a bunch of quarters. I was just a thief. I just grabbed all the quarters. And then I ran to the arcade and would just like play the pinball games and Galaga and all those games. But actual console, she had a Sega Genesis, and we played Bejeweled together all the time.
Nice.
But I was bad. I was like a little thief, and then like her employees couldn't say nothing because like I was like the owner's like little grandson. So I was like, yeah.
You had those special privileges from being a relative of the person who owned it. Okay.
Right?
Oh
Mm-hmm.
man.
As we
Okay.
all do.
Oh, you
Don't
was
blame
one
me
of
though,
those
man. I would have
kids
been there every day.
getting away with stuff, man. All right. So, since Bejeweled was technically, I'm surprised you said Bejeweled because usually when people say Sega Genesis, the first thing that comes to mind is Sonic the Hedgehog. So that's really interesting.
Oh no, I didn't have a choice. She liked Bejeweled. It was her console. I just played it sometimes. And then, after she got, tired of it and, Funko like had all those games on sale. Remember the bins? You can just reach in and grab something and
Oh
it was
yeah.
like $2 or
Mhm.
whatever.
Mm-hmm.
We started doing that and then that's how I got Sonic and, all those old Sega Genesis games. And I made my way through quite a few of them. Even the Lion King game. I never beat it, but
I don't think
you know.
anybody has ever beat
I
it.
would
I
say,
didn't
Nope.
beat it.
yeah, that's one of those games to where we can say that we tried it back in the day, and we're like, oh yeah, we played it back in the day, but don't ever ask me if I ever finished it, because
I don't know. I don't know what the
we can.
third level looks like.
I don't even know what the second level looks like, because by the
Mm-mm.
time you have to like jump a lot of those rocks and stuff, it was like, all right, this is getting a little bit too much for me. I'm only 6, so there's only so much I can take.
I
We
mean,
just kept
even as
doing
an
it.
adult, like
Hmm.
I couldn't be able to beat the game because, nope, you're not
That's
gonna.
why when people complain about my game, I'm like, did y'all forget? Do you not know?
They don't know the struggle. They don't know the struggle of having to get to end of a level. And if you just so happen to lose out on a lot of lives, that's it. Got to go all the way back from the beginning.
Right? I'm
Yep.
like, I
Hmm.
gave you checkpoints. Don't I want to hear nothing.
Yeah,
Right.
we came from the era. It was like, oh man, checkpoints. Oh, this is great. Now most of the
Back in
games
my day.
nowadays, back in my day, we didn't even have save files. We had passwords. And if you lost
Oh
the sheet that you
yes.
wrote it down on, that was a wrap. You got to start over from the beginning. Better hope you didn't write on a notebook that you had to use for classwork, because that's it.
Man, we getting old.
Yeah, that's the bad thing too. You just think, well, like back in my days, oh man, that was about 20, 30 some odd years ago. It's like, man, time does fly.
It sure
Time does
do.
fly.
That sure do. That's why I think that's one of the biggest reasons for why I collect because I want to keep as much of those memories as possible. Maybe it's my own bad habit. Not sure, but I'm sticking with it. So anyway, since you mentioned the Sega Genesis, what was the very first game that you actually fell in love with when you were younger? I mean, I don't know how old
Yeah,
you
yeah.
are, but okay.
No, I'm 30. I'm 30
Oh,
something.
we're around the same age. Okay, we're
30
all
and
in the
strong,
same.
man.
Yeah, we're all in the same boat. Okay, so
I guess we can say, like for me, when anybody asks when's around the time frame I grew up on game, I would say anywhere between 5 to 15. That's generally the time frame that
Oh,
you're
okay.
influenced the most when you
yeah,
play
Yeah.
certain games. So I guess
Because
between the ages of 5 and 15, that would be like a
yeah.
10-year cycle.
So
because
start at
there's
5.
definitely cool. Okay, because there's like definitely stages to it for me. I don't look at it as like one solid thing. I look at it as like the multiverse of like ages
Oh yeah, go
for
for it
me.
then.
But yeah, I would say the first game that I couldn't like really stop playing was like Pokemon Gold. Um, man, I was a really like emo, sad kid or whatever, and I wouldn't smile. My grandma bought me a Game Boy with like Pokemon, and then I just got so happy, and I just sat there for days and played it and played it. Like played it over again and learned all the Pokemon's names. So that was like super dope. I think after that, it was the GameCube where like Animal Crossing all the time. It was just like Animal Crossing and Smash Brothers. And then I mean, I think like now that I say it, I was just like straight up a Nintendo kid for like a giant portion of me being younger. But then I went into the Wii, and the Wii, it was like again Smash Brothers and Mario Galaxy was really good, but that then I started trying other things like Suda 51 games. I played No More Heroes, and that was my jam. I
Oh yeah,
love No More
classic,
Heroes
bro. Hmm.
because it was so different than from what I was used to. And then I started like some semi like online games like shooters and stuff like that. And then I started saving up my own money. I got a 360, and that was like Gears of War, and like that's what I mean when I say stages. Like every like console or every like couple years, I was able to trade all my stuff in for the next thing and kind of make that transition. And then like Mass Effect, man, Mass Effect, I was just all into that.
There's too many! I don't think we can hold them! I'm activating the nuke!
I'm sorry, Ash. I had to make a choice.
I understand.
He sounds cultured because every single one of those games was striking a chord with me. I was like, oh man, No More Heroes, and he was talking about Mass Effect. I was like, oh man, he knows his stuff. He knows stuff because I just got the Legendary dude not too long ago, and yeah, I can't wait to fully dive back into that. But that's what's up though.
Then I
It
also
Interesting
see
history.
that you have a Cuphead back in the background too. So
Oh, I don't
um
even play those kind of games. That came from a puzzle someone gave me, and I like put it together. It took me like 3 weeks to put that puzzle together. It's like 1,000 pieces, or something like that. And I was like, I'm not taking this apart. So I just got a frame. You
wow.
know?
Usually that's what you do with like long, difficult puzzles like that. You either hot glue it together, and then you just puzzle it up, put it in the frame, and just leave it there.
Yeah.
So
And
I want to dare to
as
disassemble
somebody
that
who
thing.
just plays games, it's really nice to
Hmm.
just like have a puzzle. Like it's so different. You just have it on a table. You just walk over there for breakfast and like start putting pieces together, and like yeah, it was dope. Like I could have bought like a 30-hour game or something like that, but no, that puzzle was nice. It was like a really chill experience.
I need to do that. I haven't played with, well, not played with. I haven't put together a puzzle in years, so I may have to do that. I know there's different video game puzzles out there, so we'll see. I may have to hang it up just like you did.
Yeah, it's poster background. Get a Pokemon one with all the Pokemon on it. That'd be dope.
That would be dope. Let me make a note of that so I remember.
Yeah, I was looking at one not too long ago. I think it was the Smash Brothers roster. I think it was like
Ooh,
25,000 pieces, and it was like in a long box. So I'm like, oh man, if I'm getting that, yeah, I'm gonna have to at least dedicate a weekend or two to put that thing together because
yeah, you're gonna be there
25,000.
forever, man.
Yeah, because I think the biggest one I ever assembled was like the GI Joe ones they had back in the day that you was
Mhm.
like for ages 5 to 10. I had like one of the small joints that was anywhere between like maybe 100, 300 pieces. Back in those days, that blew my mind. But I was like 25, $50,000, 50,000 pieces for puzzles. I was like, oh man.
Yeah, I had my friends like come over. We were supposed to all do this one together. They abandoned me. Like not
Oh,
even half. It was like 10% in. They were like, you
Mhm.
know what? We're gonna go home. We're gonna come back. Next weekend and put this together. Never came back.
Dipped.
Never came back.
Left you all by yourself.
They
Right. I
dipped.
texted. I texted them. I was like, "Yo, what's going on with this puzzle?" Be like, "Oh yeah, yeah, another week." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then another week went by, and I was like, "Oh, I'm done with the puzzle, by the way." And then they hit me, had the nerve to say, "You finished it without us. We gotta buy another
Oh,
one and
you got
start
those
over."
friends too? Oh man.
Man, I was like, it was taking up my whole dining room table. I was offended. I wrote them a
Yeah.
strongly worded letter. After that,
Not a letter.
a
It's like, man,
letter.
y'all didn't get in on this as I was piecing together, but now y'all want to talk something when it's actually done.
Yeah, Tory,
Hmm.
Tory Green, calling out
Oh,
Oh, he
people.
calling them out.
oh, we calling them out.
He's like,
Okay.
we'll make sure you don't forget this.
Don't
I
come for
did
me.
this. He's like,
Government
Don't come
years,
name.
for
like
me.
you
I
see this in the
gave it a
background. You didn't do
platform.
any of this.
Yeah, Sierra.
Oh, Sierra, don't come for me now. He talking on my platform, but I ain't got nothing against you. I think you're pretty nice, even though I don't know who you are. So,
What were y'all main games?
ooh, so my very first console that was brought in the house was the N64. My grandmother bought that for me and introduced me to Banjo Kazooie, Super Mario 64, games like that. And over time, I was a Nintendo kid that shifted over to a PlayStation kid because I had the PS1 and then the PS2, and I had like, so many games. Like, there's four racks over here of nothing but PlayStation stuff. Um, but I played a lot of PlayStation. I played a lot of Nintendo, but I didn't finally start getting into, excuse me, and Sega. Whoa, why did I forget that? And Sega specifically with Dreamcast. Like, I love the Dreamcast, the most underrated console of all time in my opinion. Um, there's just been so many consoles and so many games. Like, I'm always been an RPG girl and action adventure type of girl and a platform girl. So you put a game in front of me, if it's colorful, I'm more than likely going to play it. That's why I love, like, Spyro and Crash Bandicoot. Like, so many. I don't even know if I answered your question, but it's so many. It's so many. What about you, Nick? Go ahead, because I'll keep rambling.
Oh man, it seems like for me, it seems like an eternity since I first started gaming. But in terms of stuff that I grew up on, the earliest memory I have was playing Mega Man 6 on the NES. Well, it wasn't very good at it, of course, being a 4-year-old, and there's only so much I could comprehend and stuff like that. But just growing up, because I come from a family, we pretty much got all the systems from like NES, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, Sega CD, all the way up until the current stuff. Some of the earliest memories I just have was just like watching my older brothers, and back then I considered them as like gods compared to a lot of the games that I played. I would always sit and watch my middle brother. He was really good into RPGs, so like Chrono Trigger, Secret of Evermore, Secret of Mana, and then that went all the way up into like PS2, 360. He still does a lot of stuff now, but he kind of slowed down on that a lot. But as I was watching him, I started to, get more invested into like other games. So like I started playing games like Super Mario World on Super Nintendo. I love that. And then from there, it was more of an effect that just kept stacking to where I just tried different variations of games. So for the longest, I would always play platformers, so Super Mario, Sonic, stuff of that nature. And then when the N64 came out, I got really invested into RPGs. And then that was just a slope to where I just kept trying different variations of games in different type of genres. So I would say my favorite genre is RPGs. So like from Chrono Trigger to Vagrant Story, Xenogears, those are just some of my favorite ones that I name. So I would say that it started, progressively, and then over time, I just kind of delve more into all these different types of genres to where I can pretty much play everything now because I played some of every type of genre. So my favorites would be, of course, RPGs, platformers, shooters, stuff like that. I would say one of my favorite generations would probably be the Super Nintendo, because how my family was, we would always get the newest stuff. But since I had two older brothers, I was the youngest, I would always get the hand-me-downs. So I would start off from playing like NES, Super Nintendo. I'll start off on those older systems, and I'll just work my way up. But I would say I'm more appreciative to that nowadays because since I got a lot of the older games, like the experiences that they played, and since I was younger, I got to experience a lot of those for myself, as opposed to like newer generation to we talk about like newer games, stuff like that. To where why would you play old games? I got to experience those, from hand. So I can actually say that that generation particularly shaped me into the gamer that I am now. Because one of my favorite games of all time is Mega Man X. And I don't know if you guys see it, but I got plenty of Mega Man stuff behind me. So I would say that if it wasn't for the Super Nintendo, that I want to be the gamer I am today. It was kind of long winded, but yeah, whenever somebody asks me like when was some of my first experience with game stuff, I'm like, oh man, I got stories for days, but I try to keep it condensed as much as I can.
Yeah,
No, that's super awesome. But it's something I've been saying for years when like talking to people. You notice how none of us brought up a sports game. The industry likes to put us into this box like, oh, black people, they just gonna play their sports games and like keep it
Oh
moving.
yeah.
I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
no, like RPGs. Like I have yet to meet like a black person who doesn't know about Mass Effect,
right.
like
Mm-hmm.
a gamer anyway. And like people just kind of don't realize that. So it's really dope to hear all the other types of games that you enjoy as well.
I appreciate it, because I consider it as like cause like culture and stuff like that, and part of the gaming culture. I don't just see how anybody could just sit there and play like sports games or the shooter games all day, and especially if you just think about how broad the gaming spectrum is. So I owe it myself as a gamer to branch out and try all different variations of games. Not saying I didn't play sports games back in the day, like NFL Street, NBA Street, and those were my jam back in the day. When
Same.
When EA actually made an attempt to make good sports games, I played stuff like that. But like when they started doing stuff on the 360 to where it came just more mainline like Madden 2K, FIFA, yeah, that was a wrap for me.
Mhm.
So I enjoyed them back in the day to a certain degree, but after a while, it's just roster updates. We're gonna change this stuff, loot boxes. So yeah, it's to the point where literally you're paying the exact same money each year for the exact same game.
Yeah,
So it's
I
kind of
agree.
that kind of lost me.
The only Madden I've played was '04. That was because Michael Vick is on it. And yeah, my family was really big on Michael Vick because I'm from Atlanta. So,
So they
I mean,
lumped you in the rest of them.
that's yeah, but besides that, like I've always been an RPG type of girl. I've always loved deep diving into stories and understanding more about the characters, like things like that. So, when people try to put us in this box about we only play shooting games, we only play sports games, it kind of rubs me the wrong way because it's like not all of us are like that. Now, granted,
Hmm.
there's some people who do enjoy that, but that doesn't speak for the rest of us, if that makes sense.
I have seen signs of the future. I've seen the signs of change. Bear witness to the age of agility. The time of tricks, hesitation, head fake, bop, freedom to change, and license to flaunt. Bugging out, crossovers, snapping ankles. You hear what I'm saying? Listen to me. Make your move. NBA Street Volume 2, rated E for everyone. Street ball will never, ever be the same.
EA Sports.
Over time, since you've been playing a lot of different types of games, what game in particular inspired you to create a game such as Never Yield? Because that's a really there's like so many different types of elements within the game that I see from other types of games. So I'm not sure if that was inspired from any other type of game, but I wanted to ask to get your more perspective on that.
Yeah, so Never Yield was inspired by a lot of other games in the genre, Cannonball, Sonic the Hedgehog.
Mhm.
I'm blanking. Temple Run. Uh, just a lot of like those types of runners. But the whole concept was to take this genre that everyone knew and everyone understood just by looking at it and updating it a little bit. What can I add that was different? How can I add style to it? And be something that people will want to buy or play nowadays. Be it adding different outfits, adding cutscenes throughout the levels, doing a story that drives the game forward, and giving it a solid ending. A lot of critiques was like with those types of games are it just goes on forever. There's no like ending. Why would I just, just keep sitting there doing the same thing over and over again? So I just wanted to give people like incentive for playing these things.
This joint is fire, yo.
It is. I like this game a lot. I wonder if we could beat all this in one night. I really like this track.
Man, I was like vibing off of the track alone. Like, trophy, I beat it.
Oh damn, I'm not done yet.
Every day. Alright.
Is this your very first video game that you put on the market?
My first solo game that launched on like platforms outside of just being posted on like forums and stuff. Yes.
Okay.
I worked on other experiences, other small projects and stuff like that before though.
Okay. How long have you been in the industry before you've made a name for yourself as a game developer?
So well, this is the first time people actually know who I am. I've been trying to get into like the game industry, like as a solid thing, get paid to do this really, for about 10 years now. 8 years when I started this project, and then it took about 2 years, so it's about 10 years now.
Wow.
Okay. So you're a veteran. Okay. Been in this for a minute.
I'm a veteran of failure. If you want to call that.
Well,
No, I
the
wouldn't
old.
say no, you're not a failure.
Oh, definitely
No,
not.
you know what I mean, like trying to get into the industry, trying to get into this space, but
Hmm.
constantly being denied that way. And the whole point of this game was just to like kind of make my own opportunity because I just like couldn't find one. Like people would
Hmm.
like look at my work and say that it was amazing, but I couldn't have the job for every reason outside of me being qualified. Be it I live in Detroit or
Hmm.
I don't fit the studio culture that they're trying to build. That was
Mm.
like a constant one.
Hmm.
And little side things that there was nothing I could like physically do about.
Hmm.
So I just kind of was like, hey, I'll make this thing just to like prove a point. If it does well, then I proved my point. If it doesn't do well, then I made something dope for me. So it was a win-win either way, but it became a lot more.
Ooh. Yeah, I appreciate that tenacity because a lot of things, in the game industry, especially what you just said, like you don't fit like the culture norms or things of that nature. So you pretty much decided to take it upon yourself to where, if you guys don't give it a shot, you guys don't give me a shot, then I just do this thing myself. So I really do appreciate that vigor that you have for the other project that you actually had some type of vision to that you actually decided to take into your own hands and make it for yourself. Even if like 10 or 15 people play it or whatever, that the thing that you wanted to do, you actually end up making for yourself. So above all else, I do think that that's pretty good. I
Thanks, man. I
appreciate that.
appreciate it.
You showed a passion, and then we could definitely see it.
Well, not just that alone. I also wanted to say thank you because your tenacity is what's going to spark interest for the next black developer who wants to say, you know what, he did it. I want to be able to do the exact same thing. They may have the exact same type of path that you were going through, with not being a part of these gaming studios for whatever reason. Because we know the big part of it is the racism, like, but we can save that for another time. But we know it's there, so it's just going to
Hmm.
take someone seeing you succeed and create a game and put it out there and put it on so many type of platforms. You have it on Nintendo Switch, you have it on PlayStation, you have it on Xbox, you have it everywhere that can reach a whole bunch of people. So that's all you have to do, and that's going to spark other people who wants to be in those same type of shoes as you, to take a place in the industry regardless of the amount of no's that was told to them.
Yeah, and just to speak on that, uh, there's been this thing where people have been like really lifting me up as an example, and I appreciate it so much. But there are so many other black game developers out there making super dope games that's coming out this year. And I partnered with Justin Woodward from the Mix, and we like kind of got a lot of these game developers together, got their main characters, and made this really dope freshman class poster that highlights all of the games. Well, not all of the games, but a giant chunk of the games made by Black creators and featuring Black like characters. And the list, or in the poster and list is out now. If you just type in, Black voices in gaming, freshman class, it should pop up. But yeah, I've really been pushing that because as much as I appreciate all the love and support, I just want to make sure that translates into helping other Black game developers who like have the same story as me, who did the same thing as me. I just got lucky enough to be spotlighted.
I do
Cool.
appreciate you providing that information because in this industry, it's really hard, regardless if you're trying to work for a gaming studio or even on the outside looking in. It's
Hmm.
really hard to thrive. So I know, especially with my experience, I do my best to support as many developers as possible, especially Black developers. So um, more than likely, when we get off this interview, I'm going to look through the freshman class list to see if there's any way that we can be able to support them or even give them spotlight just like we have with you,
Exactly.
to talk a little bit more about their game and to spread more awareness about who they are and what they do in general. So thank you for that.
Exactly.
I appreciate you.
Yeah,
No
because
problem.
because
And I'm
because
sorry.
it's definitely. I'm sorry, but it's definitely one thing to talk the game, but the best thing we can do for each other as one people is to support each and every one of our individual products. So you'll definitely be seeing a lot more on my end, just in terms of just notoriety, telling more people about your game, spreading awareness. Because if one thing I love to see is my people succeed, especially in one of my favorite mediums, which is gaming. So
Yeah, I think the less we like silo ourselves into these like kind of containers, like just to like try to make sure we boost ourselves up, we have to kind of make sure that just everybody's doing good. Because I
oh
think
yeah.
that's what's kind of lost
Hmm.
between, even the different groups, media slash streamers slash like the actual developers themselves, and the respect that goes, always. Even me, I fell into that like kind of like death loop, for
Hmm.
lack of a better term, where as a like developer, I feel a certain type of way about a streamer that might make more money streaming my game than I
Hmm.
would have making the game itself. But at the same time, understanding that they are in their own category and doing their own type of work. So I think we all just have to understand each other a little bit better, and like just support each other from the best we can. For me specifically, other game developers is like kind of who I understand most, so I try to support them first, and then everybody along with that as well.
I'll make this quick.
Welcome to the grid.
Just tell me what I gotta do.
The path of a spirit guide is the lonely one.
Defeat new enemies. Go and save Gora. Wake up, my child.
As time goes on and you get even more notoriety for your game, are there any upcoming projects that you're working on for the next game or supporting other developers, or what's the next steps from this?
So, throughout this game, making this game, I had two day jobs, uh, crappy day jobs, but whatever. And I would come and work on the game like super late at night. But I'm at Unity now. I'm helping them out with a project. But I do have my little prototypes that I work on every now and then. But this time, I don't think I'm interested in doing the whole thing solo, because it's a lot. I don't think I'll
Oh
ever do
yeah.
that again.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
it's a good experience to have you kind of become a master of none, where you have to touch everything. You understand game development at a different level, but it's a lot. And like a while ago, when I first was telling people like why I put my name on my game and all of that kind of stuff, I felt really good about it. But the more time goes on, I realized I just got really lucky with how people receive the game. I wouldn't suggest people put their name on the games anymore, actually, because it really depends on the person and their mind state. So
Hmm.
me, I really don't care about what people think or anything like that. I care to a certain extent, but I don't put much weight into it. But even me, when the game came out and reading the reviews, I was really nervous, and I just had some like really messed up thoughts, and someone who's in a not a good mind state might not be able to handle that. Um, so I think it's more dangerous than I first thought.
Hmm.
Um, but again, it depends on the person. I do think it helps developers individually get more attention. So it's really a catch-22 with me.
Hmm.
So that's kind of my biggest takeaway from that aspect of it.
Yeah, I think in those regards, because it's like you said, it's pretty much the mindset and the mindset of of the developer. But in cases like those, I kind of see it more as like your stamp of approval, because like whenever somebody sees a certain name that's attached to a project, like Hideo Kojima's Metal Gear Solid, like before everything that happened with how it's now, he had his name stamped on everything. So in those regards, whenever I would see even like your name on it's like Aerial Knights, I would definitely put that top of the list in comparison to different games I would try. So it's just like you said, it can be like both cons and negatives, but I definitely see that as your stamp of approval. So anything that you got on your name going forward, I'll definitely be putting that top of my list.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean though. Like this
Hmm.
one worked out. I didn't
Yeah.
know that people would like it so much. I
Hmm.
made a game for me and hope that people liked it. But for someone who's just starting out and they do their first game and like it like gets a lot of attention, but it's negative attention.
Hmm.
If they make a good game after that, or if they just like kind of get destroyed online because the internet is a terrible place sometimes, it can end badly. And it worked out for me this time, but I don't know how it will work out for other people who
Gotcha.
aren't as lucky as me.
Hmm.
That that's very interesting because just as a consumer that purchased different games, I would have never thought like how much reviews can really impact one individual, especially with these indie developers that, it's only two, three of them. Um, just a few days ago with the bug that you mentioned, like they were swarming, like, hey, I can't get my trophies. And it's like, dang, there's so many people on one person. I can only imagine what other developers are going through with those bigger issues because we see it all the time. Like with Road Company, people were complaining about the latest rollout and they had to roll that back, and the stuff with what's that other game called? What is that other game called that they were? I can't remember, but another game that people were complaining about and they were attacking the developers, and I'm like, why are y'all doing that? Like, people make mistakes. At the end of
Hmm.
the day, we're still human. Like, allow them to correct those mistakes, but don't attack them and sending death threats. That's absolutely ridiculous to me.
Hmm. And
Yep.
I think that's like the dark side of just like game development and stuff in general, because as you both may know, especially when it comes to social media, a lot of gamers nowadays, or just people in general, kind of feel entitled to certain stuff now, because especially when it comes to like certain games that they may like, that have their heart and soul anticipated on that one game, they
Hmm.
find one little bug. It may not even be the most terrible thing in the world, because when we were talking, he was like, one of the bugs was just like an achievement glitch or a trophy glitch. That's not one of the biggest, things that you can experience in the game, because I played plenty of games that have game breaking bugs. But little stuff like that, people you just be blowing you up, death threats, things of that nature, when it's not even that serious. So that's like, I would say, the dark side, just in terms of like game development, because you as a developer, I'm pretty sure you've seen some of that stuff on from your side, and probably perhaps some of your other peers as well.
Yeah, and I had a thread a while ago because I think one of the reasons I was able to be in this position that I am is because the internet and the online hate, I can kind of take it.
Mhm.
I don't really put much into it. I got every kind of death threat that you could imagine in my inbox, like right after that Nintendo thing. Um, but yeah, I really didn't. It didn't bug me much. But then there was like an article. It was a really nice article that someone wrote about me. But in the comments, they just went in like for nothing. And that part got to me just because they said that my story was a lie, like that none of the stuff that happened to me. And it just really got to me. Um, and then I started like realizing, people who aren't in the best mental health state, this could like really hurt them. So that's why I kind of bring up the fact that it might be a little bit more dangerous than I first thought it was. And I don't think there's a lot of research on, kind of people's like name just being out there in the world like that, outside of like, super famous people who know what's coming
Mhm.
when they kind of go into that field. Um, so yeah, sorry, that was this is like a weird tangent slash rant.
No, it's fine.
uh,
Oh, you're
it's
perfectly fine. Yeah,
it's
yeah. Because I
fine.
know I know when it comes to subject matters like that, it mostly, like you said, just depends on the person, the environment, and definitely consider the genre that we're in. Gamers in general can be quite fickle, of course you may know. So in terms like that, it's just got you pretty much gotta have thick skin, and that comes to any facet of life because one thing my father always told me, you're going to get more negatives and criticisms, and you're going to get more no's than yes in your entire lifetime. So if anything, you just got to learn how to, accept the no's, get through them, get through disrespect, stuff like that, just to where you need to get to where you need to be in life. And you're clearly to where, you're pretty much a stardom now to where you are with with your game. So I would definitely say that you definitely have thick skin, and you're definitely on your way to where you need to be.
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
appreciate you, man.
Yes, sir.
Before we go, what game do you believe is underrated, and what is your favorite console of all time?
That question
That's a
going to
good,
both of us.
good
Yeah.
question. Yeah, you can go first because I need a
Oh,
second.
gotcha. Oh, gotcha. Okay, because first I thought it was directing hell. Okay, I didn't realize it was towards both of us. But what was the question then? You said
what
what's one
game
of what game do
what
we think
video
is
game do you
underrated?
believe is underrated, and what is your
Hmm.
favorite console of all time?
Oh, underrated. I would probably say. Well, there's another game coming out too later this year, No More Heroes 3. But I would probably say No More Heroes in general because the art style, the type direction they went to with that game, because the original two they came out on the Wii, and how the Wii turned the way it was more so of a casual system, so a lot of people didn't really get the core games like that. So I'll probably say one of the most underrated games, in my opinion, is No More Heroes. It has like a devout following and fan base. So we're getting the third installment to this year, but no words can describe just how much I believe that game is just leagues above better in terms of other games within this particular genre. And I would say my favorite system of all time. That's a hard one because I pretty much played everything, and each system that I played had at least five or more games that I really enjoyed about it. But me personally, I can't pick one. It would always be a tie between Super Nintendo, GameCube, and the PS2. That's mostly because those three systems shaped me into the type of gamer I am now. So
That
if you would
Super
ask,
Nintendo, man,
so
that's
if you
not
would ask
whack.
me, yeah, exactly. So if you would ask me like which one I would pick above, it's like it's one of the type of questions that if somebody would ask you pick one and the other just vanish completely. It's like, well, what's the point of me playing games then if I can't really enjoy the different facets of each system? So for me personally, I can't pick one because I've been gaming for so long. So I at least have to go with the top three. You can't
I
necessarily tell me
can't.
to pick one over the other. Oh, what you got, man?
Well, give me the
Whatever.
top three then. Give me the top three
Yeah.
if that makes it easier. The
Oh yeah,
PS2.
SNES, yeah, SNES, PS2, and the GameCube for me.
About you?
Uh, I would say underrated game would be Sleeping Dogs.
Oh,
Sleeping
that's a
Dogs
good
is an
one.
amazing game.
Hmm.
I really like that game a lot. And like best console to me, PS4. If it was quieter, like especially like a new one, a new PS4 that doesn't like
Oh
sound like
man,
a
it sound like everybody airport. Oh yeah,
yeah.
it had those issues.
Outside of that, you could play like PS5 games on PS4 right now, because it's still transition, and they got a giant backlog. And when I had it throughout the whole life cycle, there was always something to play. There was no like really laggy periods or anything like that. But in a couple years, I'm gonna say PS5 slash Xbox S and S, just because they're the newest things, and you could play everything on the previous consoles on those things.
True.
So,
True.
yeah, I'm gonna go with that.
That's a good one, especially like newer system. If they can play the back catalog older games, then by default it will make it essentially those older systems, but it just runs them better. So that's a good one.
Yep.
That is a good one.
I got a
It
question
happens
for
to me
you.
a lot. So
Sure.
I got a question for y'all. I see
what's
either
up?
one of y'all know why know the answer to this one. Why do games come out on Tuesday or used to come out on Tuesday?
Why do games used
Why
to
do
come
games
out
come
on
out on
Tuesday?
Tuesday?
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one. I would say I know off back, but I'm gonna take a shot in the dark and mostly just say when usually you think about games and movies, because it's gonna lump into movies. I assume that a lot of them don't want to contend with movies. Oh, I got it wrong. Well, that's my shot.
Dang.
It's because of a game. It's because of one game made games come out on Tuesday.
Because of one game?
What's the one game?
I'm pretty sure it's
So-
a very popular one. Very
So
popular.
Sonic 2 did this giant promotion called Sonic Tuesday. It's so popular that game just came out on Tuesday from that point on. Until recently, the games started coming out whenever. But, for pretty much all of our childhood, games came out on Tuesdays.
Yeah, I never would have got that because I think I was like 2 or 3 back then, so I wouldn't have known that was the case. So Sonic Tuesday.
No,
Man,
I
you
would have
stumped
never
me.
known that.
Yeah,
I've
look
learned
at-
something today.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I learned something new. Sonic Tuesday, and then because of wow.
Yep, you could Google it and everything. It shows up.
Oh yeah, here it is. Yep, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 promotion. I would not have figured that it was Sonic of all games that made it to where games came out Tuesday. I was
Yeah,
assuming it would. I was assuming it because back then, like games were popular, but nowhere near to the extent they are nowadays. So I would assume it would have been something like if you said something like Grand Theft Auto or like Madden or something like that, like something that we know about. Then I could definitely see that being the case. But Sonic, nah, that's something that I never even thought of.
And
Good talking
before
to
we
you.
go, is there anything that we were unable to talk about that you wanted to mention?
Nope. Just everybody just check out Aerial Knights Never Yield on all consoles and PCs. PC and Epic Games Steam and Epic Game Store. Sorry.
Okay.
And I post updates on my Twitter at Ariel_Knight all the time if you're interested in, other stuff that I might be working on.
And with that being said, that is the end of this week's episode of The Games That Make Us. I am doing confetti anyway, even though I only got to ask one question, but you deserve it. Absolutely, you deserve it. Please, please, please check out his game, Never Yield.
Available on all platforms. Like, come
You
on
got no
now.
excuse.
None. None.
See you later, guys. Ooh, that hit me straight in the side. See you later, guys. Bye.